Contrary to popular belief and whatever condescending fairy tales you may have been spoon-fed, you can in fact mess with Texas. The bumper sticker was always more slogan than law, really. A swaggering bluff shouted over Lone Star beer and barbecue smoke. And now it has been revealed as nothing but a cheap shot of bravado. Because when the orange bronze devil made a phone call, every last one of these blithering Republican idiots came crawling on hands and knees. They won't fight. They won't resist. They won't even feign independence. They'll just kiss the ring and whatever else they're told to kiss. Then strut back to Austin, calling it victory for the Republic. On August 20th, the Texas House passed a new set of gerrymandered redistricting maps, 88 to 52, handing Republicans an artificial advantage in 5 Democratic-leaning districts. Democrats fled the state, breaking quorum in an attempt to block the bill. It was their Alamo, their last stand in defense of the people's right to vote. But the gavel still fell and the maps went through. Not governance, conquest. And this is where the hypocrisy cuts deepest. For a century, Texas sold itself as the line in the sand. Remember the Alamo. Remember Goliad. Remember the ranchers who stood against the heavy hand of Washington. This is supposed to be the state that spit in the eye of federal overreach, the state that bragged it could be its own country, the state that prided itself on independence and fire. But all of that was just theater, because when Trump wags his fingers, the mighty cowboys of Texas crawl to him like beggars. They've proved that the only thing bigger in Texas is the bullshit. And here's the question that should really haunt every Texan with a shred of pride left. How did the Don't Mess with Texas crowd become the most obedient lapdogs in America? How did the state that prided itself on standing tall become the state that kneels first and longest? Was all that talk about independence and honor just bullshit for the tourist? A carnival act for campaign ads? Because when the moment came to prove it, Texas Republicans folded like a paper sack. The Democrats who fled to break quorum may have been mocked, but history will remember them as the only ones in the room with the guts to fight. They tried to hold the line. They tried to honor the people who elected them. They tried to shout that Texas is not for sale. And though they lost, they still stood taller than the cowards who crawled. So yes, you can in fact mess with Texas. And the proof of that is that Texas Republicans are doing it for themselves, gleefully, shamelessly, and on command. They've sold the soul and legacy of Texas to a New York City con man who's never cared for the state and never will. And remember that, Texas. Remember it when you vote. Remember it when you see these puffed up men in their boots and their hats pretending to carry the soul of the place. Because they don't. They've already traded it away. They betrayed Texas. They are not cowboys. They are not rebels. They are Trump's little boys. All hat, no cattle. Governable cowards who sold Texas for a wink from a slick city boy that's living off of daddy's money. And that is a shame they should never be allowed to outlive. And when the dust settles, remember this too. Individual liberty was supposed to be the cornerstone of Texas. That was the creed carved into the stone, the anthem sung from every porch and pasture. And it wasn't Greg Abbott who carried that torch. It wasn't the hollow speaker Dustin Burrows or the Republican bootlickers drawing lines in secret. It was the Democrats who walked out. The ones who broke quorum, who gave the state the stiff backbones it was promised. That is the most Texas thing I've ever seen. Not kneeling, not cowering, not begging for scraps from a gilded table, but standing tall in the face of power and saying no. A middle finger to the establishment and the goddamn governor. That's the cowboy shit right there. That's the spirit that built the place. That's the defiance Texas pretends to own but is long since forgotten. So if you want badasses, don't look at Greg Abbott. Don't look at his yes men in boots and cheap suits. Look at Ann Johnson and Nicole Collier and James Tallarico and John Busey. Men and women who stood their ground. They are the legacy, plain and simple. They're the ones worthy of the cowboy myth because they didn't bow. They didn't crawl and they didn't sell. Defiance till death.